We are into it. First of all, we are going to end all sanctuary cities.
Governor Cox also cites a memo that Bernanke's office issued a memo calling Utah a sanctuary state.
We do not say that all of the saints will be spared and saved from the coming day of desolation, from the atomic holocausts that surely shall be.
In the coming day, the Lord will return to this holy land. Then the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together.
The mandate given by the First Presidency and the presiding bishopric is to only focus on financial growth. EPA employees are told that the money will be used after the second coming of Jesus Christ or during Armageddon right before he would come again.
Tithing will keep your name enrolled among the people of God and protect you in the day of vengeance and burning.
One of our brethren some years ago spoke of the payment of tithing as fire insurance. Nonetheless, the word of the Lord is clear that those who do not keep the commandments and observe the laws of God shall be burned at the time of his coming. For that shall be a day of judgment, a day of sifting, a day of separating the good from the evil. I would venture a personal opinion that no event has occurred in all the history of the earth as dreadful as will be the day of the second coming, as fraught with the destructive forces of nature, as consequential for the nations of the earth, as terrible for the wicked, and as wonderful for the righteous.
Travis Wayne Goodsell. One of the things I've learned these latter days, as they're over, and we're waiting for Armageddon, is that Mormons don't give a damn. They would rather die in ignorance and never know the truth than be saved by learning the truth. All they have to do is humble themselves. They won't do it. Won't do it. So, yeah, I didn't want to do the video today. As I bathed this morning, I realized, oh, wow, this would have been the perfect shirt to wear for the Pentecost video. Oh well. Missed out. And then I saw that I forgot to put the 7th in the video for you. And then as I was thinking about it, I went, oh, crap, there's more to talk about. Armageddon. Armageddon. And so, for May, I didn't do a Jewish calendar month review for you. And I wasn't going to do one for June either. I want to quit. I don't want to do videos to a Mormon audience who wants to argue and deny the truth, who wants to die in a burning, fiery pain of ignorance. Then simply just read the bleeping scriptures. To at least start there. They just won't do it. Just won't do it. They would rather find me on YouTube and come to fight So what's the point? Mormons want to die? Let them. I have seen the burned body. You do not want to get burned. But you don't listen to me. What do I know? You won't run the test. Yeah, exactly. I have proven myself 8.7K plus times over these whole latter days. Hey, isn't that the total amount of videos you've posted on YouTube, Travis? Yeah. Yes, it is. Just run the bleepin' test, Mormons. And you don't. You don't want to. All you have to do is run the test and find out if a person claiming to be the religious leader is lying to you. Because if they're lying to you, they're stealing your money, trying to hurt you, and murder you with Armageddon. And you won't do it. You'd rather die in the flaming fires of Armageddon in ignorance rather than at least read to know that people are trying to steal your money and murder you and sexually traffic you. Dear God, I cannot force you to listen to me. I'm not going to force you to obey me. Nelson already does that. How well do you listen to him? Exactly. You have no interest in being good people. You have no interest in having Zion. You want your lifestyle in the current conditions just exactly like the house of sensitive snowflake house of Israel under Moses. I don't want manna anymore. I want quail. We're thirsty. Give us water. The Egyptians were good people. We had to leave behind our wealth to follow a visionary man into the desert to die. Bunch of baby whiners. So yes, those of you who have been following and are entertained know that I am a visionary man. I am a seer, the prophet, the revelator, the translator of Paleo-Hebrew and Egyptian with the keys of the man like Moses. And so, when I give a video out of inspiration, you don't want to listen, huh? It's too long. Oh, you stayed to listen to Alyssa Grenfell, Mormon Stories podcast, but you can't do it for me. We don't like your tone, and you're ugly. Okay, your choice. And you can't leave me alone, can you? You have to tell me that. You have to put your thumbs down. Your hate comments and your death threats and your false testimonials and your denialism. You just can't leave me alone, can you? You're threatening me to deny Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon is Jewish, as well as the Bible. And you wonder why I keep calling you wicked? You prove it to me every time. So, the month of Sivan is about Armageddon. As I just did the video earlier. Dear God. And I am aware of the attempted attacks by the Mormon YouTube employee in Utah County. Started his shift around noon. Can never leave me alone. They can't do it. They have to attack. They have to prove the church is true with threats of violence and crimes and murders. Just like the Danites that you were born and raised in the family of, who murdered Joseph and Hiram. So, Revelation chapter 16. Behold, I come as a thief, thief in the night. Blessed is he that watcheth. You're not even listening to this, are you? You don't read it. You don't watch. You're not watching for Jesus. You're just kicking back. Oh, Nelson said that he doesn't know the day or the hour anymore. So, yeah, we can just sit back and coast and, struggle financially. But Trump, he promised that it would get better eventually. Why would he lie? Why would he hurt his own people? And keepeth his underwear. The church will never call it underwear. It's always garments. These are garments. These are undergarments. And I don't wear them anymore. Underwear. Lest he walk naked and they see his shame. If you're in your underwear, the church still thinks you're naked. You have to cover those up and hide them too. See, Lucifer is also wrong. Not just Joseph Smith, Jesus, and the Jewish prophets. And the Book of Mormon prophets. But Lucifer too. It's not enough to just cover up and hide nudity. You have to cover up and hide the covering up and hiding of nudity. You Christian bastards, hating women, trying to get them all covered up and hidden, just like Islam does to their women. You bastards. Leave women alone. And it's sickening because they're using the bullying tactic. Porn, Christian redefined, means anything involving nudity or sexuality. And there's a debate as to whether or not underwear also counts as porn. For many, it does. For swimsuits, yep, that too. Tank tops or any kind of outerwear covering up underwear, but yet still showing too much flesh, even though not the private flesh. Yep, porn. Everybody has their own definition, but for the majority, it's pretty Puritan. And yet, the United States Constitution already protected porn in 3 different ways that Christians, led by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, with Senator Mike Lee's bill, which I'm sure was already laughed at and denied. But nonetheless, it's going to be done here in Utah. It already is for the most part. They're making their blacklist and checking it twice. Gonna find out who's pervy not nice. And then kick you out of Zion. But the Constitution has artistic freedom rights, educational freedom rights, and scientific freedom rights. Porn, as redefined by Christians, is all three. And yet YouTube violates the Constitution by banning women for being women on YouTube videos. Doing my regular check the other day, there were 3 more channels banned by YouTube. And they don't do porn, unless you think that porn is women. There was nothing wrong with them. YouTube just attacks based on their Christianizing algorithms. Nonetheless, YouTube is all supposed to be protected by the Constitution. It's artistic, many of it is educational and scientific, especially when the women are involved. And so YouTube is violating the law and violating Trump's executive order for freedom of speech. So he made it very clear, freedom of speech. There's nothing you need to, get clarification for. Like his other executive orders that nobody's listening to. They're just doing what they want, and then when Trump comes in and takes away what they don't want, you go, wait a minute, what are you doing? Well, I'm doing what my executive orders told me to do. No, we need clarification. No, you don't. It's the order. Obey, cocks. Anyway, this all has to do with Armageddon, by the way. Don't think it doesn't. This is what it's all about. The destruction of the world, all world governments, the collapse of economies, the extermination of mankind, led by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, getting other people to commit their crimes for them. Romans chapter 16, verse 16. And he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue, Armageddon. And I've gone over this with you. This is also why I'm doing this video as a warning a week in advance. You're not going to listen. You're not going to understand. And so, with Armageddon, we then see verse 19. And the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell. And great Babylon came into remembrance before God to give up her cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. This is what Christians interpret as the Christian Jesus, not the Jewish Christ, and ignore Joseph Smith, as only Mormons would have access to it, and still don't know, as I put it in the videos, and that's one of the pictures that I'm repeating. That Joseph Smith added information from Malachi. They that come shall burn them. Meaning Christians are going to have to do the burning to prove not real Jesus is real. Because that's what they've learned over the 1700 years. They're going to make Jesus come, and therefore they're the good guys, not the bad guys. And so Jesus will reward them for burning people. So, in the footnotes, Bruce Armageddon was involved with this. Not Ballard, not the others. Did any of you ever watch the video where I gave you a homework assignment to go through the whole book of Isaiah and study every single one of the footnotes through the whole book of Isaiah? Did anybody do it? You can tell that somebody with some kind of a brain, and then there's somebody who, oh my God, who is this person who did this? That's the church sharing, participating for special people. And the ones that seem intelligent are Bruce Armageddon. This is very clearly Bruce Armageddon. As he's also the one who's been talking about nuclear holocaust for the burning. You kind of need to pay attention when Mormon prophets are talking about nuclear war for Armageddon, especially since they're the ones plotting all of this. So the first one is Ezekiel 38, verse 16. I've done this before, referred to Bruce Armageddon in the chapter heading for chapter 38. And we should probably go to that first. The battle of Gog, Russia, and Ukraine against Israel shall usher in the second coming. Well, that's interesting. The Jews believe in Christian Jesus long before he was created by Roman Emperor Constantine. The Lord will come amid war and pestilence, and all men shall shake at his presence, and then melt like on Raiders of the Lost Ark from the Ark of the Covenant. Right here. Right. Where's my Marion? Just don't hit me with the mirror. So 16. And thou shalt come up against my people of Israel as a cloud to cover the land. It shall be in the latter days. Seeing the pattern with Revelation? All people. And I will bring thee against my land, that the heathen may know me, when I shall be sanctified in thee, O Russia, Putin, before their eyes. See, the enemy doesn't believe that the Jews are true. No, they don't. No, they don't. They don't believe in a Jewish Christ coming, because he's a mortal flesh baby. Not real like Jesus, who therefore is so true. Joel. Hey, Joseph Smith also referred to this in his second vision with the burning thing. It was one of those scriptures. Multitudes in the valley of the Garda Davida, baby. Valley of decision. For the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. The sun shall be darkened, and the moon turned to blood, and the stars fall from heaven. Roar out of Zion as a lion today. I checked. Nelson didn't have anything today. At least not yet. At least not yet. You had to have watched the morning video or the earlier video. The morning one was the comment reply video. Great. Zechariah 14:2. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle. I wonder how that will happen. You won't even watch the news? Christians self-fulfill their altered interpretation. This is Jewish, it's not Christian. And so Christians have to say this is when Jesus comes to Jerusalem to save the Jews and convert them to Christianity. That's what Nelson did when he did his Jerusalem video. Standing behind me is the Islamic Mosque, who we fully fund and support for terrorism. Jesus is going to come one day, because he's real, not like those Christians' Jesus, from outer space, and put his foot on the Mount of Olives, divided in two, and the Jews who were almost destroyed by Hamas and the UN will go through and be converted unto Jesus and start paying tithing to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and prostituting their wives. Mormons just don't listen to themselves. Because there it is, and his feet shall stand in that day on the Mount of Olives. I know what I'm talking about. In the midst of the battle, Armageddon. Oh, this is just hilarious. And finally, Luke 21:20. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. The abomination of desolation, as Christians reinterpret it. That had to do with the Greeks taking over the Jerusalem temple and changing the altar by destroying it and building a new one, and then beginning to offer Greek offerings on it, just because they're Greeks. And so that's why pigs are singled out from the Qumran community Deuteronomy commandments. It may just be in Leviticus. It could be in Deuteronomy too. Because technically the Jews allow for pigs because of the hooves. If it cuts the hoof, it's okay. It's kosher. But because what the Greeks did to the Jerusalem temple, they say, all right, no more bacon. Even after the Maccabees took it back. But the Greeks also started polygamy, or prostitution, sort of polygamy. If you go to the temple at different times and get a different woman to have sex with and pay for it. So yeah, but everybody gets a turn. It's just awful. Awful. So yes, abomination of desolation. And it has to do with Holocaust. Holocaust being a whole burning. So you get other people who don't know Hebrew and they just botch it. The direct literal translation is whole burning. Just like a sacrifice on an altar. Wholly burned. And so not the same, because you don't want to eat charcoal. Like I said, I've seen burnt bodies. It is not a pretty sight. And oh, the smell, dear God. Oh, look, signs in the sun and the moon and the stars. Seeing a pattern among these Jews. It's as if they know the day and the hour. But Christians wrote in Matthew, no man knows the day or the hour. So, Sivan. It is the 9th civil month, 3rd religious calendar month. And so the things of significance. When I saw this, I went, oh crap, I gotta do another video today. Crap. Fourth of Sivan. I went and did a little write-up for the events that I covered in the previous video. On the 1st, which is today, is the Jewish Pentecost, with the moon at Mars at the mouth of Leo the lion. So I put Amos 3:8. Probably should go over that, because you're never going to read. That's too hard. I need my emotional support animal. I get stressed when I have to take a test. See, you do know, I guess you don't. Church did away with the scripture mastery. Intelligence causes apostasy. Surely the Aten of Yahweh will do nothing, but he revealeth his secrets unto his servants of the prophets. Don't even go there with me. I am not in the mood. Don't even go there. $8.7K videos. I am the man like Moses. I am the seer, the prophet, the revelator, the translator of Paleo, Hebrew, and Egyptian. Don't even mess with me today. It's bad enough that Oaks finally got leaked to me at the end of last year, saying that 2020 was just going to be a test run. Don't go there. Just don't do it. Get it out of your mind. I know you think it's funny. Just stop. Don't go there. Okay? Mars is the false prophet. The religion is the moon. The mouth of Leo, Judah's symbol, Utah. Yeah, Nelson. Multiple ways, confirmed as fact. So when I read that scripture, the lion hath roared. Who will not fear? The Lord God hath spoken. Who can but prophesy? I did my part. Again. Again. So on the 4th, this is a 2 constellation focus. First one is in Aries, the sacrificial ram. Sacrifices, Holocaust, catching on yet? Falling stars at the rump roast. The moon is on the shoulders of Virgo, which Joseph Smith translation, chapter 12, verse 7 adds, the woman is the church. Yeah, your church, Mormons. Everything is about Mormons. And you don't believe. You don't want to know. You'd rather burn than realize that the scriptures are talking to you, about you. So guess what all this means? It's not the Jews. That's Christians forcing it. It's about you. You're Babylon. You're in the great and abominable church of Lucifer. Baby name meaning. And you don't care. You want to prove that you worship Lucifer and attack me and threaten to murder me if I don't cave and lose my honor and integrity as the guy. And so the moon for religion on the shoulders of the church. Nelson is the head and government leader of the church. So talking about Emmanuel, Jesus spelled backwards, and the government shall be upon his shoulders. Great, now both of them are done. We're going to have to pause here and I'll change them. Although it's nicer now that you don't have noise in the background. You're not listening anymore, so why do I care because you're not. I can do whatever I want. I could just walk off and leave and keep it running. Nobody will know. Hilarious. All right. So, for the 4th of Sivan, the birth of King David. This is false. But this is Jewish tradition. And this is why it's significant. Is because the Jews currently do not understand their own scriptures anymore because of Constantine. And so the Jews don't realize that their scriptures are actually prophecy and revelation about the coming of their Christ. Their Jewish Christ is a descendant of King David. And so 4th of Sivan being the traditional date for the birth of David is significant to pay attention to. But the actual David of Armageddon 1, I've gone over with you numerous times. King David Moses III of the David Moses dynasty of Egypt, 18. And what is really cool is his name in the cartouche and just up above it. David Moses is named son Amen. Right, you don't read. I told that to a woman in the older singles ward, that the name of our Christ is actually Amen, and she was shocked. What? Adam, Andai? Oh, yeah. Come on, people, keep up. Yeah, he's the Egyptian sun god at noonday. And there it is, the sun on the back of the white duck. John didn't quite understand that's not supposed to be a horse. No. That is for Geb. Geb is Adam. And his wife is Lilith. Oh, that is hilarious. So yes, technically Eve would be Nephthys, as their son would become Anubis. So Jesus of the tomb for the underworld. Jesus is Anubis. In facsimile number 1. And Jesus slaughtered Abraham. See how easy it is to translate Egyptian. Right, Brigham Young? What a dumbass. He knows about Lilith, but to say that Heavenly Father is Adam, dear God, get out of here. No, wrong. So no, the duck is the symbol of Geb. Geb is Adam. Adam is man, son of man. Emmanuel, son of man. Remember, God, you don't read. I'm talking to people who don't know what I'm talking about. Matthew 24, the apostles asked Jesus, when are you coming for a second time? When he hasn't even left yet? And so he then says, the Son of Man, the Son of Man, the Son of Man, the Son of Man, the Son of Man. And then they say, well, we wanted to know about you, not the Son of Man. That's him. Jesus is supposed to be the descendant of King David, but it's the Jewish Christ of the future for the latter days. He's the Son of Man, human, mortal, of the flesh, seed, egg, baby, and thus Emmanuel, the sun god of the 18th dynasty, for the religion of the Amen priesthood. Section 107, verses 2 through 4, Mormons. Priesthood holders, I think, know about this, so you don't read either. So his thought is the God thought, which is the one who writes the names in the book of the law, so that those who go to Zion go to Zion. The descendant of King David, Messiah ben David in the book of the law. It's all right there for you guys, and you don't care, you don't believe. Alrighty. So that's King David. David Moses, Tau Mose. Armageddon. Do I have to repeat that seriously? The Hittites came in and occupied the land down to the valley of Armageddon. And so King David Moses III went up with the army to Armageddon. And in the midst of the battle, he put his foot on the Mount of Olives of Salem. That's where all this comes from, guys. That's the literal history turned into prophecy for the latter days. And so it's not Jerusalem, it's not the Jews, it's Mormons, it's a Mormon, the Mormon. And so it's not Jerusalem, is it? Do Mormons have just one and only one temple that is their headquarters temple, which is the only stone temple that they have? I don't know. I don't care. Church is true. I don't care it has Lucifer's symbol on the keystone. I don't care. Church is true. They're good people. I give them of my substance so I can prostitute my wife and have sex once in a blue moon. I have to sleep on the couch a lot. The birth of Enoch, which 365 years, calendar, 365 days, David, as thought, had the birth of Osiris, Set, Isis, Nephthys, and then Horus the Elder, to add 5 days to the civil calendar of the Egyptians versus the religious calendar. And so thus 365 days, 2 days after the birth of David. Pay attention. Tradition has some truth in it, despite it shouldn't be taken literally. So also on the 6th, the Torah, 5 books of Moses, it's technically just the 10 Commandments. It's technically actually the whole book of Deuteronomy, isn't it? Because I just read that this morning for Pentecost. Yeah, his law. It's the book of Deuteronomy. It's not the 10 Commandments. Only. And he hewed 2 tables of stone like unto the first, and Moses rose up early in the morning and went up to the Mount Sinai in Utah, as the Lord had commanded him. You know that's Mount Olympus. It's already done. And took in his hand the 2 tables of stone, and descended in the cloud. That's what triggered all this. Armageddon. There it is. What's going to happen for Armageddon according to Mormon church theology? Jesus Christ will descend from the clouds of glory and burn people in Jerusalem. There it is. Pentecost. But apparently not the Jewish Pentecost, because that's today. I'm sure I would have seen some news if Jerusalem got nuked. So Christians, this is Christian interpretation for Christian Armageddon, for Christian nuking of Jerusalem. Catching on? Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This is what they say. This is their interpretation. Don't argue with me about what they say. You don't know. And so, yeah, it's the whole book of Deuteronomy. Everybody gets that wrong and calls it the 10 Commandments. Charlton Heston. Gotta follow the book, Charlton. Don't take Hollywood liberties. Don't you do it. Okay? So in Utah, the law. This is Friday. Guess what the 7th is? Oh wait, we've got another one for 6. The death of David. That was not his death. See, again, if I were to go over, and I guess I'm going to have to, I can only have one of these up at a time. You need to go away. See, it's not like Word that allows me to have multiple files up. See, David Moses III died on the 11th of March, 1425. Okay? And so, the tradition of the Jews, based on the Rambam's chronology during the Middle Ages, is wrong. Too influenced by Christians. Augustus, was it? Who said it was 4004? I think it was that guy. Yeah, so the death on 6th Sivan is not the 11th of March, and it's definitely not 14 or 940 BCE. The Temple of Jerusalem should have been built by then, because David Moses visited during the midst of Armageddon 1 in 1450 BCE. That's like 500 years later for the death of David. No. He's assuming that the Christians were correct when they put the Jewish scriptures as literal histories in chronological order. That's why the Rambam got deceived into thinking King David was 940 BCE. And so after 1450, they would have begun with the financing from Egypt, from David Moses III, with the spoils of the Hittite War, to begin the construction of the temple and the palace there in Jerusalem. And I don't know how long it takes them to build back then, but it was easily before 500 years later. And I've done the videos where I've explained Solomon. Solomon has Salem in it. Peace. Salem, Jerusalem. Peace. And so the N at the end is Paleo-Hebrew suffix determinative for king, if it's a person, kingdom, if it's a place. And so Solomon is the king of Salem. So it's kind of redundant to say King Solomon, king of Salem. You just keep repeating it over and over again. What are you doing? Stop it. Just once. It's a title. It's not a name. Every king of Salem is Solomon. Spoiler alert. All right? And so, yes, we do not have any record of the first kings of Salem. And so the Qumran community of the Jews were the ones who wrote the stories of David before they finally got to the list that they did know of. But yeah, if you understand that David is the Egyptian pharaoh of Egypt of the 18th dynasty, then you can better understand the scriptures of the latter days that they were prophesying about. And so notice that the death is coincided with Moses. Moses is the latter day Christ, who's the descendant of David, who restores the kingdom of David. And on the same exact day, Friday, the 6th of Sivan, you have the transfer of authority from David to Solomon, aka the man like Moses. The fall, then the transfer of authority, with the Exodus that already happened, and the building of Zion. See what the Jews are doing here, and they don't know that they're doing it? They're talking about the fall of the great and abominable church and the restoration of Joseph's religion for Mormons, as the gathering of all Mormons from all over the world to Zion for Pentecost. All right, so the 7th is the birth of Moses. But they're saying, no, this is 3 months later. Interesting. Yeah, which is also interesting. Yeah, because the birth is the 17th of March. And the sign in the east was on the 7th of March. Interesting. April, May, June. Yeah, 3 months. They're saying Moses' birthday is March. 3 months old. Drawn out of the water of the Nile River. Which was technically his birth, but again, they don't fully understand the tradition of pre-Constantine. And so they're claiming that Moshe means drawn out of the water for baptism. No. No. It means born. From Egyptian. Thought is born. David is born. The Messiah, Ben David. And so it's also observed for today, Shavuot. And, okay, so that also, this year, the 7th of Sivan, is 9/11. Right? No. Nope. No. Nope. The 7th of June is 9/11. The 7th of Sivan is Moses. Okay. Because I can't bring up the calendar. Because it's 4 days off for this month between our calendar and the Jewish calendar. Come on. Wish Microsoft would have just left me alone. I had it all set and fixed just the way I wanted it, and then they did the upgrade in 2021, and now all hell broke loose. Alright, so Sivan 7th is Tuesday. Okay, so that's the 3rd. That's 4 days after. So yes, the 7th, Saturday. Okay? So the 6th is Monday, which is interesting. Wait a minute, we're getting more associative memory inspiration here. Monday is the transfer. Really? Because he sent me a letter promising. Let me read it to you. I was pissed on Friday after watching the news. Utah was not on the sanctuary list. Pissing me off. I've spent all this year after Trump did his announcement and Cox got exposed. And I was just furious that Cox got away with it to get Utah off that list. You bastard. And so I complained to Trump, and I didn't bribe him, so I don't expect anything to be done. The White House, Washington. We have received your email. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and sensitive snowflake feelings with President Donald Jesus Trump. The willingness of the American people to stay informed is essential to our enduring democracy? Trump? That's a deep state Dem claim. Please know that President Trump will never stop fighting to establish peace for the citizens of our great nation. You do understand what he means by citizens, right? For additional information about President Trump's policy initiatives or current events at the White House, please visit www.whitehouse.gov. So fast. You bastard cocks. Bastard-coded bastards. All right, so the 7th is next. So we don't have anything for the 7th here, do we? No, that's just the 3 months after Moses is born. Okay. And so, yes, this is also a transfer of authority, as you see the death of David, and thus the transfer to the man like Moses. That's why they have the prophecies that they do. Okay. So the 7th is next, because we got to throw in the 23rd, the day before Jupiter becomes Emmanuel. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so the 8th, or no, it's the 7th. Yeah. So we do need a calendar. The 9th month in the civil calendar created by King David, way back at the time of Adam, son Amen. Catching up? Okay. What happened on 9/11, 2001? Yeah, 9/11. Remember, the Danites are the ones with the plot to destroy America and the world to get their kingdom back, which they never had, but they think they got the right to rule as Danites, judges. And so, 9/11, 1826 was the first 9/11 incident. Canandaigua, New York, where there's a Yorkite, Knights Templar, Egyptian gold treasure plates buried in the caves of southern Illinois, where X marks the spot for the third day hour of darkness in southern Illinois. You don't read your second vision, do you? He's talking about the coming forth of the Book of Mormon, gold plates buried in the ground. Talking about destruction and burning, not gospel restored. What did you think they were talking about? Right, gospel restored. This all is just so simple for me from just studying. And it just so frustrating that it was a test run in 2020 and 2021. Bastard, Oaks. Bastard. God. And Jewish 9/11. All right. And so Christians believe that the coming of the clouds of Jesus, well, Mormons, the prophets, they're saying nuclear war. The burning is like a nuclear blast. The glory of the sun god. They don't call him the sun god, though. And so when he comes out of the clouds of glory, 9/11, 1826, was when the coming forth of the Book of Mormon began. Because Joseph Smith Sr. was now activated. He was the Master Mason. He was responsible for finishing the Book of Mormon as it became known. And I just recently did that video again. And I did it because I was inspired. You need to pay attention. So Saturday is the Jewish civil calendar 9/11, when the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and evangelical Christians believe that Jesus will come from the clouds of glory and burn everybody. Because the next day is Christian Pentecost. Jewish Pentecost from Exodus, the Lord comes from the clouds of glory, the top of Utah, to the man like Moses. Of Mormons. Pay attention, Mormons, because you don't believe Joseph Smith, do you? Joseph Smith told you in the second vision, Jesus is not real. They that come, from verse 1, who is Brigham Young and his 12 Danites, will burn them. And so I also repeated this just not too long ago. You have to pay attention to my seer visions, guys. Section 107, verse 51. And the enemy came as a thief in the night, and broke down the hedge, and the servants, the prophets, of the noblemen arose and were affrighted and fled. And the enemy destroyed Mormons' works at their headquarters, Temple Square, and broke down Mormons and deported them. Scattering them throughout all the world, because the judges keep saying, no, you can't send them to El Salvador, you can't send them to Venezuela, you can't send them to Libya. So Trump will just keep sending you to all the different places around the world, as the judges will say, nope, you can't send them there, nope, you can't send them there, nope, you can't send them there, nope, you can't send them there. Of course, some will already be sent there. That's why the judges say, no, you can't do that. So you'll have Mormons going to different places around the world. And you can go to Trump's app and self-deport. Maybe you can select your country of choice. Promises to give you a free plane trip and $1,000. 19 July 1840. Joseph Smith adds extra information about that, as I did the video recently. Oh, God. Ignore me at your own risk. You cannot be offended because it means you're guilty. China seems nice this time of year. Oh my God. Okay. Armageddon. It's Mormons. It's not Jerusalem. But Christians are forcing it to be Jerusalem. The church is forcing it to be Jerusalem. It's you, Mormons. And I saw something, and I was pissed, and so I said something on Friday. Okay, so the sign in the heavens for Christian Pentecost is the moon at the top of Libra. Judgment of the religion. And so then the 14th is Trump's B-Day. Do you even see that picture? Do you even read it? No. No, we hate you. You're mean. You mock us like Elijah versus the priests of Baal. If Jesus ain't gonna show, hilarious. And so, yeah, the 6th of Sivan is, 2, it's ahead, okay. Oh my God. So what's the next one here that we have? It's the 23rd. And so that would be the 27th of it's the 27th of June, right? 19th. Oops. It's 4 days ahead. Okay. Alright, so the 19th is the 23rd. Okay, so that's before the 21st. Okay, so after Trump's B-Day on the 16th, Mars is in Regulus. Okay? Well, there has to be a death of the false prophet, transfer of authority. Technically, it's supposed to be to the man like Moses, but Oaks is next in line, unless the whole church falls, with the prophecy of Armageddon on Mormons, not the Jews. It could be both. All right, and then, okay, now we got to go to the 23rd, which is the 19th. We're back to Ishtar, the book of Ishtar, and Marduk. You don't remember, you don't. Mordecai and Esther. Oh, book of Esther, yeah. The first queen of Persia was told to dance naked in front of other men, and she said no, and so she got divorced. And so then Esther was chosen as compliant. But again, Lilith, and then Eve. The first queen, then Esther. Same story. Two wives also, by the way. Two failed marriages. And then Marduk of Babylon, of Babylon, temple, cigarettes. It is not the Tower of Babel. Iraqi National Guardsman from Riverton, he went over there and then came back and said he took pictures and saw the Tower of Babel, and yeah, it was so cool, Bible is literal history true. I knew back then that was not the Tower of Babel. Lebanon, Beirut, Lebanon. That's the Tower of Babel. God, you get people who don't know, and they just, oh my God. Oh my God. Okay? And so this is when they send out letters to the Jews, telling them to prepare for the abomination of desolation, annihilation, orchestrated by Haman, to be committed on the 13th of Adar. Knights Templar, Friday the 13th, Thursday the 13th in the Julian calendar. Adar, when Moses was born in March. Catching on to the Jews, their manner of writing, the learning of the Jews, prophecy, days and hours. Catch it on yet? Section 133, the call out to Mormons. Come to Zion. 19th of June. There has to be the fall of the great and abominable church, the transfer to the man like Moses, before this call can be given. But here it is, right here, the 23rd of Sivan, 19th of June, 2025. Okay? And then the 21st, which would be the 25th of Sivan, we have the inverted triangle in Aries. Awesome. Falling stars at the rump roast, moon falling at the front roast, Venus at the bottom, the inverted pentagram of Lucifer. The sacrifice fall of the great and abominable church. 21st. And finally, on the 24th, the 29th of Sivan, which, is it 29 days or 30? 30. 29 was Ayar. This is when Jupiter, from Revelation chapter 12, verses 1, 2, and 5, becomes Emmanuel. Virgo shall conceive and shall bear a son, the descendant of King David, and shall call his name Emmanuel. Virgo shall conceive Jupiter and bear Jupiter, and he shall unite with the Sun on the 24th of June 2025. The official end of all scriptures. This is where you start seeing in the scriptures the end. And Mormons died happily ever after because they didn't want to study. They didn't want to believe. They wanted to die in ignorance. Okay? Real simple, fun stuff, isn't it? So, just to review for you, not everything happens on the day or the date given in Revelation. There's many things that did not happen on the date but still happened. And there are some that fell within a time frame to be counted for the date. The curse of Joseph Smith that I've gone over with you, yeah, all presidents of the Church of Brigham Young have died under the same manner in which they murdered Joseph. Sun shall be darkened, moon turn to blood, stars fall from heaven. Every single president of Brigham Young's church have had the curse of Joseph Smith. We're waiting for that curse to fall as a mantle upon Nelson. It is so heavy, it's a great burden. Other stuff happens exactly on the day. 23rd September 2017, exactly on the day. 17th of December 2017, Revelation chapter 12 verse 3, exactly on the day. Revelation chapter 12 verse 4, 2nd of January 2018, exactly on the day. Perry Packer Scott, within the time frame. It was 2014 to 2015 from the solar and lunar eclipses. So yes, after the third eclipse, solar and lunar, Perry, Packer, Scott. Scott was also on the day of Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. Ballard was within the time frame of the second day of darkness over Utah in Virgo. Annular eclipse, 14th of October, 2023. He died in November within the time frame for the curse of Joseph Smith. But not on the day. Okay? So understand that as we go into June. Not just for the fall of the Great and Abominable Church, the death of Nelson, the transfer of authority, the Exodus, Zion with Pentecost. Because today's Pentecost, we're not in Zion, are we? You aren't gathered from around the world, are you? Didn't happen on the day, did it? And I was deeply concerned. It's not going to happen. I don't see how it's going to happen. Time was getting closer, and oh God, this is not going to happen. Okay, well, or am I going to at least put out the notification of section 133? Nope. Just, oh my God. Maybe next week then. God. So, just understand, not all scriptures cooperate, but they all get fulfilled. All. And in case you don't know that scripture, it's in Acts, right after the Pentecost. Joseph Smith quotes it in the Book of Mormon. Well, Joseph didn't quote it. The Book of Mormon was written by Sidney Rigdon, as Senior had to rewrite the 116 pages. Oops, chapter 3, not 4. Verse 24. Yea, and all the prophets from the name of God and those that follow after, as many as have spoken, have likewise foretold of these days. All shall be fulfilled. All fulfilled. Third Nephi 15, quoting from the New Testament, I do not destroy the prophets. And we're supposed to put the law in there also. Yeah, there it is in verse 4. I say unto you that the law is fulfilled that was given unto Moses. I am he that gave the law, and I am he who covenanted with my people Mormons. Therefore the law is fulfilled in me, for I have come to fulfill the law. Therefore it hath no end, even though it's fulfilled and therefore ended. But it becomes established fact, so that throughout the rest of history, the history books will have the latter days as factually happening, as prophesied. Once I write it in Zion. Behold, I do not destroy the prophets who prophesied of all this. For as many as have not been fulfilled in me, verily I say unto you, shall all be fulfilled. I do not destroy that which has been spoken concerning things which are to come, because he fulfills them, their prophecies. Okay? That we say adieu. And I knew I shouldn't have said adieu after I said it. So also, what also has been inspired for me to talk about is the Nazi doctors and psychologists torturing the Jews with the Holocaust. The whole burning, being given asylum in the United States of America, for which they've been thanking their American liberators by trying to figure out how to brainwash the masses to destroy us, divide and conquer, with false dichotomy arguments of extremism. And they're doing it. They are turning America into Nazi Germany, repeating history, because you don't care to learn from history, and so you're doomed to repeat it. Who's the quote for that? And that's why the church and Trump and others are trying to gather lists of those on their hit lists. That's exactly what the Nazis did right before World War II. What are you doing? God. Learn from the past or doomed to repeat it. Don't trust AI. Big Think, and it's Smithsonian American Art Museum also confirms the same guy. And Virginia Tech says that Edmund Burke is misquoted, that it's actually the Spanish philosopher of the same guy. Yeah, George Santayana, Life of Reason, 1905. Those who do not learn history are doomed to repeat it, is the author of the quote. And here we go. So the Book of Mormon is true, Joseph Smith is true, Mormons don't believe because they've got the wrong interpretation. It's all going to happen because it already has all happened. The final four will happen. I just read to you from the Book of Mormon that it's going to happen. It's all being fulfilled. We're ended. The latter days are over. We're waiting for Armageddon. And the church is going to make sure that their will be done for Jesus coming to Jerusalem and nuking it. But it's the church. And so technically, I have petitioned the government for a redress of grievances. Again. Okay. Here we go. Hang on. It's going to be a Mr. Toad's wild ride.